Hey guys, welcome back to According To. I'm Megan.
And I'm Ciera, and for this week's episode, Megan and I thought it'd be fun to dive back onto the Unpopular Opinions subreddit. Surprisingly, it's been a hot minute since we've been on this subreddit. I think we've been so distracted with the Am I the A-hole subreddit, which you guys love and we love, but sometimes we
forget about another classic.
Exactly. So, that is our plan today. If you are new to this episode format, it's exactly what it sounds like. We go through the Unpopular Opinion subreddit and find ones that we think would be interesting to talk about, and kind of just say if we agree or disagree with the opinions.
Also, some exciting news. We're going to try out a virtual book club. So, this is kind of still in the works. How we decide to run this may or may not change. We'll see. And at a certain point, like after we kind of establish things, I do feel like there will need to be like a threshold of like at least so many people in it for us to
Continue.
like justify being able to like spend the time it takes to do it. But you will notice now that there is a link at the top of our podcast description where you have the option to become a subscriber to the podcast. It is $4.99 a month if that's something that seems like it'd be worth it to you. But the premise is going to be, once you're a subscriber, you will then have access to our Fable virtual book club. Fable is an app that you can get in the App Store, and I'm pretty sure it's on both the App Store and Android. But it gives us the opportunity to have everything in one place. It's going to be nice because I feel like for a virtual book club where we don't have like set standard meeting times, you still want to be able to converse with people and like share your thoughts and have a back and forth thing. And so the thing that's going to be nice about Fable is that they separate the books that you're reading for the book club into different chapters, and you can go in for each chapter, and if there's like a twist or if you're starting to think things and you're kind of like, I'm wondering if this is what's coming up, this is my thoughts right now, you have the opportunity to go write that stuff down, and then anyone else in the book club, including Ciera and I, because we'll be in the book club as well, we'll have the opportunity to kind of chit chat back and forth and share any other thoughts that we have. And then also being a subscriber, you will get access to a subscriber only podcast where we kind of debrief the book club book. So since it's the beginning of February right now, we have yet to decide on a book. I have to redo the poll because we don't have any active members yet since I'm just kind of announcing this. But there is a poll option or feature to possibly get people to vote on a book. If that takes too long and I want to give people time to read the book, I might just end up picking the first book and we'll roll with that. But if you hear us talk about books that we read in the podcast, it's very much going to be that similar type of vibe. So if you like romantasy, if you like contemporary romance, if you like thrillers, then it might be a good book club to join. Or if you've never been in a book club before and you want to try it out, you could try it for like a month. And if you're realizing maybe it's not something you're going to get value out of,
Cancellation, like if you don't want to be part of it, you can cancel and like you're done. There's no issue there.
But it will be, the podcast is not going to be uploaded onto YouTube. We're going to upload the video version onto Spotify. So you'll still get like the video component if you prefer that. But yeah, if you guys do have any questions, you can always DM us. I think it's pretty straightforward, but you know, I understand people, if they're putting money into something, they want all their questions answered beforehand. So we will try to be available.
And this will be a little bit of a learning curve for us as well. So if things don't run smoothly the first month, hopefully we can iron out any kinks in the next few months.
My thought is we'll kind of do February, come beginning of March-ish, maybe on like the first Saturday or something. This is kind of up in the air. We'll plan on having like our book club debrief episode go up.
Yeah, and we don't know how long this will be yet. We'll kind of see like
the
when we plan
engagement and also like who's all joining, stuff like that. But I thought we've been saying we were going to give it a try, and this seems, I was kind of like, we just need to start it if we're going to do it.
It's like our real life book club. The hardest part is just starting.
Yeah. So that being said, I just wanted to get it out of the way, top of the mind, so you guys are listening and present, and you can write it down that maybe you'll consider joining if that interests you.
Anyway, now we like to talk through our weekly spotlights, just life updates in general before we get into the bulk of the episode. So Megan, what is your weekly spotlight?
It has been a long week, but we have a new baby niece.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't believe that Haley was actually still pregnant last time we recorded. I totally would have spaced on that.
Yeah. So, our older sister, Haley, she just gave
present,
birth.
2 or 3 weeks ago or whatever in our podcast.
Yeah. Getting ready. And so for both of her pregnancies, she and her husband have decided to just go through the whole process with it being a surprise and not knowing if they're having a boy or girl. And so I think most of our family leading up to her giving birth had been leaning towards boy. And I was also saying boy the whole time. And then I've got to admit, kind of like the day before, I feel like if I would have been saying girl, I would have had doubts either way. But like the day before, I was just kind of like, I really am starting to get girl energy and girl vibes. But what day did she give birth? Oh, her birthday.
Yeah. How could you forget?
Isn't that so fun? Haley's birthday is January 27th, and the due date was February 1st, but she ended up giving birth like January 27th in like right before midnight. So they get to share birthday. How fun, how exciting. And that was on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. No, yes. Monday. No, Monday.
No, it was
Tuesday,
a Monday. I was working out.
No, it was a Monday because I remember thinking to myself,
why was I working
the
out
27th was a Monday.
Are you sure?
27th, Monday.
Why was I working out Monday morning?
Don't know. So she gave birth that night, and like we knew she was in the hospital because she gave us like that heads up, but like she was in labor for like a pretty long amount of time the last time. And so I was like, well, I have no idea. This means nothing to me. I don't know. You could still be pregnant in the morning. So, didn't hear from her the rest of the night. And then Ciera got up to go work out pretty early that morning, and Haley had texted at what time? Do you know? Or it might have even been like midnight when we were like sleeping still.
Oh, I don't know.
But either way, she had the baby. And so I woke up at 6 and she's texting us because the baby came last night. And then she was asking if we wanted to like wait to go in person to find out if it was a boy or a girl, or if we wanted to just like have her tell us now. So
that's when I was like, it's a girl, isn't it? Because she was like, any last minute guesses? And I was like, well, I've been thinking boy, so it's probably a girl.
So she ended up FaceTiming us. And then I decided, because I was like, well, I'm obviously going to go visit you in the hospital. It's just a matter of like, when am I doing it? And so since I was up at 6 and I wasn't planning on going into work until 8 and visiting hours started at 7, I was like, well, why don't I just go now? So I brought them some Starbucks, and I was the first one to officially meet her. And then most of our family trickled in like later that morning, and then Ciera went after work to visit.
And then when I was visiting, like dad and mom both came back. And I was like, wow.
And I was like, you guys are double dipping. Holy cow.
No, but that'll be my weekly spotlight too, since I totally forgot. We went and saw them. They're back home now. So we saw them over the weekend. Brought some bagels that time. I mean, when I've seen her, the 2 times that I've met her so far.
She's been really...
absolute angel.
Yeah.
I
also, because we brought bagels to them, I'm on a bagel mission. I don't know if I brought that up on the podcast, but I've been eating bagels as my breakfast at home now too. Like a little cinnamon bagel with some cinnamon sugar spread. And the reason for that being, and I mentioned this on the podcast, someone at my work brought everyone like this like bulk thing of bagels from a place of sorts, like a bakery of some kind. And then they also had like 10 like cream cheese spreads, all different. So it was like quite the assortment. And I'm not a huge bagel person, or at least I didn't think I was. But I had a bagel that was either like plain or it might have had some cinnamon, I'm not sure. And then this like sweet cinnamon type of spread, and like I was hooked. I was like,
cannot
wow,
stop thinking about it.
This is so good. And the ones I've been having at home are fine, but it's not like I would like to know where this place is to have reference for, when I do want to have like a bagel not at home. But for the life of me, and the issue is the box that it came in was just a nondescript cardboard box. The parchment paper, plain. The tub spreads that it was in were all clear with no sticker of any kind. There was nothing on the tubs either. And the thing is, I could ask the person that brought them, but he's not always there because he's like more of a construction worker on site and not like actually with the building.
If you see him, are you going to be like, dude?
I don't know.
You have to tell me where you got
I haven't
those
seen him in
bagels.
quite a while. I've looked up as any and all bagel places around me. I have tried to look up and see what they are, and it's like Panera only has 2 cream cheese options, not them. Brugger's Bagels is the one we tried, and I didn't love what I got, but that was more so maybe my fault. I got this like honey walnut cream cheese thing that just like didn't end up being very good, and I continued to search.
Why'd you do honey walnut?
There was only so many sweet options. Like they had a lot of options, so I was kind of like, maybe this is it, but none of them really seemed like what I had, so I just had to do the best with what I had.
We're gonna try Einstein.
Maybe, but I'm starting to get. I looked at so many different things. I don't know what things had what cream cheese options versus
You need
not.
to make an Excel sheet and like cross-reference things.
So that's what I spent my weekend doing, trying to figure out where this bagel place was, and I have yet to get any closer or have any more answers. And I'm also kind of like, he only would have gone so far, right? Like that was the other thing.
Maybe it was all homemade.
I don't think so.
I have a fun little update for those of you interested in my running journey. Last I spoke to you, my highlight or spotlight or whatever was that I had run 4 miles, which is like the first time I had done that. I've since run a full 10K. So that is my new record at this point. I did start, and I saw a couple of people commenting on YouTube and stuff that I should do like the Nike Run Club. So I did get that. I'm now doing their 12-week half marathon training program with the goal of doing my half marathon at the end of May. So it's still like 4 extra weeks of leeway.
Very nice.
That is my plan. We will see.
Anything else before book updates to jump in on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I've been slacking, I must admit, for my books.
I'm doing okay. So what have I finished since I last spoke to you guys? I know I finished 5 books in January. I was kind of aiming for like 6 would be a great goal, but 5 still keeps me on track, so I'm not going to be upset about that. I have finished reading, The Prison Healer. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and I like the last 2 pages, they threw me for a loop. I was not expecting that. And then I thought I was going to read Madonna in a Fur Coat as like a nice quick read. And then I was just like, I don't feel like doing this. I'd rather just read like another book that I'm more excited about. So I ditched that one, and I'll see if I want to go back to that or not. But currently I am reading Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I am a little over 100 pages in now. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm still kind of getting used to like the characters. I'm pretty sure at first I wasn't sure. I was like, is this the male main character that we're going to get invested in? Then he died after she was finished fighting him. I was like, okay, so no. And so I kind of kept being like,
when I was reading Outlander, there's like some like male main characters being introduced.
I was like,
I don't know about this guy.
And it's been so long since I read like the summary and added it to my TBR. And I just decided to go in blind when I actually started reading it that I didn't remember the premise of the book at all. And so it was kind of getting to the point where I was like, I kind of want to go back and like figure out this, like the name of the person if it says his name, and like figure out like I'm pretty sure this is the guy now, but like, is this the guy? And I'm quite sure it is the guy, but I haven't actually gone back to read the summary to be like, yes, it is the guy.
Okay.
But it's been good so far.
I believe I finished All In since I last spoke to you guys. I gave that one 4 stars. The Naturals, to me, I think I have 2 books left. Is there 5 total?
I do not know.
I don't know. It's just like a very like, I'm trying to like read the books of like filler books between my other
I
reads.
would say we know of it because it had like its moment on BookTube and Book Talk where a lot of people really enjoyed it. And I don't think we're not in that camp of like going out and recommending it to everyone. But I've only read the first one. And honestly, like when I tell you I do not remember that book, I do not remember that book.
Anyway, so I only read 3 books in January. That was a far cry from my 5 that I had planned. I'm currently reading Reckless. This might be kind of crazy, but I want to try to finish it today. And I'm like literally 50% of the way through the book. So
wow.
Likely or unlikely, probably unlikely, but I am planning like I should like after like 6:30 or so like not really have much going on for the rest of the night.
So like what else to do but read?
Hunker down and read for a little bit. Yeah, that's my book update. And I think that's it. I think we can probably get into
Pop culture wise, quick shout out for the Grammys and the moments that happened there. I had to say, I thought Taylor Swift looked incredible. It's funny because Ciera, she was like, I knew Taylor Swift wasn't announcing a thing when I saw her outfit. It was very much just like, she's here to look hot, and like there's no
meaning.
Nothing to read into it.
If anything, the meaning is like Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. They're winning the Super Bowl. And I was rooting for her just because I'm a Taylor Swift fan, but I do feel like the competition in many categories was like actually insane this year. And I know people have like, some people thought, you know, some people should have won these awards and blah, blah, blah. But I can't say that there's like anything I was super, super invested in. If anything, I was kind of hoping Benson Boone would win Best New Artist, but I'm not surprised or shocked or upset that Chappell Roan won. But I just love Benson Boone, so I was rooting for him.
Mm-hmm. You just have to think of like with Chappell Roan specifically, like the way she went from like no one to like world's most famous like pop icon over the summer was insane. Anyway, I watched like maybe half of the Grammys, so and like
they go on for a long time. Like it started at 7, it was done at like 11. Almost 11. That's who thought it would go on for 4 hours. That's insane.
Yeah. Okay.
I also started trying to do a puzzle, and then I was like, dang, puzzles are kind of hard to get started.
Yeah, it's more fun when you like have it already established.
But maybe I'll keep doing a puzzle. Gives me something to do.
Should we get into it? Mm-hmm. All right, my first one is being unattractive or out of shape is often a choice, and people who don't invest in themselves shouldn't complain about it. I genuinely believe that almost anyone can improve their looks or fitness if they're willing to invest the time, effort, and money. For some people, it's easier because of genetics or resources, but even for those who have to work harder, it's still possible. Whether it's hitting the gym, eating healthier, learning how to style yourself, or even opting for cosmetic procedures, there are countless ways to enhance your appearance. What frustrates me is seeing people, especially women, though it's not exclusive to them, feeling envious or resentful toward others who put in the effort. I've seen women spend tens of thousands of dollars on their looks and end up being considered extremely attractive. Meanwhile, others might not spend that money or spend that same money traveling or on other priorities, which is totally fine. But if you choose not to invest in your appearance, you can't really turn around and complain about how unfair it is that others are more attractive.
Interesting take, I'll admit. I don't personally agree with kind of like the cosmetic procedure and or like that route of this argument. I understand what the person is saying, but I also feel like, you know, I don't want to say I would complain too if this person naturally looked like this, and you're telling me now if I want to look like that, I got to go get a procedure done. That's not fair. But I do agree with kind of the consensus of like, there are many things that you could do to like contribute to a healthy lifestyle that if you're not already doing, it'd probably be beneficial both for you mentally, physically, whatever else. But yeah, some people have to work harder than others to get there. So that in itself is also something that people complain about sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this also, like this argument makes things seem like black and white of like you're attractive or you're unattractive, when that's not the case. Like people have good days and bad days. People have areas that they like their self-perception and body image is really good, and they're like, I wouldn't change a thing about me. And then like they have a day where they compare themselves to someone else and like, or just like don't feel like they look their best, and they're like, this is like a bad day now, like I'm not looking or feeling my best. And like you, like that person does not change appearance drastically from day to day. It's just like your perception of it. So I mean, it's just a part of life, like you know what I mean. And so I feel like them saying like, if you do X, Y, and Z like objective things like, to make yourself look better, like that doesn't do anything for like the mental aspect of it necessarily.
Right.
And like it's normal to compare yourself. Like even someone who's objectively attractive can compare themselves to another objectively attractive person who looks completely different.
Yeah. Like,
and they're like,
they have this,
wow.
this. I don't have this.
You know, like we did an episode all about how comparison is the thief of joy and you shouldn't do it. But like we are human.
We live in a world. We live in a society.
So try as we might to avoid it, it's not always easy. I don't think it's like a moral failing to like be like, well, you shouldn't complain about it. Like if you're not doing anything, a lot of times like most people are doing something if they're.
I feel like the one other thing I will say that this at least kind of like made me think of. I think complaining or just kind of like sitting in it with yourself is one thing. But I would agree that like don't go and complain about it to other people. Other people, first of all, they don't have anything to say to you about that. And I've noticed this particularly as a physical therapist. Like if a patient is like, they'll say like, oh, I could stand to lose like an extra 5 to 10 pounds or XYZ thing. And I quite literally have no comment on it because that's not what I'm here to discuss or talk about at all. So I'm just like, what do you want me to say to that?
Yeah. I'm like, my goal as a physical therapist is never for us to like lose weight. That's not a functional goal for us. Therefore, we are not working on that.
Mm-hmm. It always makes me laugh. There's like times where I'll have someone, this is usually for like my outpatient people, but like let's say we're doing like some core strengthening, let's say, and they'll be like, oh, like that'll probably be good for me to like work on losing some of this.
And you're like, that's
and
not
I'm like,
how it works, but
like,
whatever.
Not really.
I'm not going to go into the whole science of how weight loss works with you.
Us doing these 10, posterior pelvic tilts or dead bug type things is probably not going to be how we lose or decrease some inches from your waist, but
your core will get
neither
stronger.
here nor there. That's not what I'm doing it for you.
Yeah. Could you imagine documenting being like, for a patient to lose weight, like literally insurance is denying
for a patient to lose some inches around the waist.
2 seconds. As they should, because weight loss is not our goal. But let's see some comments. Someone said, I agree, but I don't think those who aren't attractive or super fit should be treated any differently to those who are. That's true. You can change your body, though there are some limits due to genetics, but you can't change your face. You could if you spent money.
You could if you do some cosmetic stuff.
Yeah. I mean...
Okay, my first one. This person said, people who refer to Tostitos by their brand name and not just tortilla chips are weird. I don't think me or anyone in my family has ever called Tostitos by their brand name. Yes, I know I'm calling them by their brand name here, but that's just so you know what I'm talking about. It's always just tortilla chips, never Tostitos. I realized this today after I went to grab some and looked at the bag and noticed that I didn't even remember how to pronounce the name. They're making it seem like this wasn't something they noticed someone else do. So like, how'd they even come about this?
I don't know. But it's true. I say Tostitos.
I say Tostitos. Mostly because I feel like, to me, I'm sure they have just plain tortilla chips. But when I get them, it's usually some sort of like manufactured. I know many chips are manufactured, but it's like, this is the bowl. This is the scoops that I'm talking about. In which case, that's not a tortilla chip really. It's a scoop. It's a Tostitos scoop.
I mean, they do make normal chips.
I know, but I'm just like, I don't know. I just wouldn't call them tortilla chips for some reason.
No, I feel like Tostitos is like, yeah, you're getting Tostitos. I don't know why I feel the need to clarify the brand name either. And like, I don't just generally say like all tortilla chips are Tostitos. I don't do that either.
No, it's only the Tostitos chips specifically.
But like, if I'm telling you to go get Tostitos, I mean to get Tostitos. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, otherwise you would just say tortilla chips.
So, I don't know why people do that. Did you have any comment on that?
No.
Okay. Breakfast in bed is disgusting. Whoever came up with a tray table and having breakfast in bed as being a luxury must have had house servants who cleaned for them 24/7. Crumbs and spills where I sleep? No, thank you.
Can you think of a time where you legitimately had breakfast in bed?
No.
Actually, there probably was a time, and I had dinners this way actually, with our lap tables, our lap desks in bed in college. Although typically I would get annoyed enough where I would just like, if I was having breakfast in my room, or not breakfast, but a meal in my room, I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to go to my desk instead. So I don't think it was often. But if I'm not having like the messiest meal ever, it was manageable. I wouldn't say I prefer it. I do prefer to eat at a table. Or my most preferred way that we did before we got Vegas was sitting at my coffee table to have a meal. Mm-hmm. There's something about that that's really nice.
For like the true like enjoyment of breakfast in bed has to be when someone makes your breakfast for you and brings it to bed. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the point.
Yeah. Because otherwise you've already gotten up and out of bed for the day. What is the point of getting back into bed to have your breakfast?
So like in that sense, I feel like it's like almost like the idea and like the experience that makes it like, I didn't have to get out of bed and I'm eating already. You know what I mean? And like, how messy of an eater are you where you're like spilling everything and getting crumbs everywhere? Like, what are you eating? I think I could manage to eat breakfast in bed without too much issue. Let's see what some of the comments say. Someone said, I don't know about disgusting, but it sure doesn't sound it sure does sound uncomfortable.
You just need the back support. You just need to be up against the head of the bed with some pillows. You'd be fine.
Prop yourself up like a chair, basically.
Mm-hmm.
A little long sit, if you will. Eating in bed just doesn't seem very practical to me. Even as a tidy eater, I would rather get up and sit properly somewhere unless I'm physically incapable of getting out of bed. Well, yeah, no one said you're physically incapable of getting out of bed. Someone said, and I can't imagine wanting to start a meal directly after waking up before even going to the bathroom, washing your face. And if you get up to do those things, you might as well sit down at the table. These people are really reading into it. I think, it's a nice gesture done by a loved one.
I wouldn't be opposed if this happened, at some point in my life. I would probably enjoy it.
I mean, I think it's just like the nice thing about it is that it's something that's only done like every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. And it needs to be like the right dish where it's not going to be a crazy mess.
Yeah.
My next one is interacting with your phone when checking out is rude. It's oddly become more socially acceptable now, but I find it incredibly rude when I see someone in line with me interacting with a cashier and casually chatting away on their phone. I'm not talking about emergencies, obviously. Even then, I'd expect a mouthed apology. I don't understand this at all. And I mostly am talking about like people literally like being on the phone talking to someone. And within like the last couple of months, do you remember when we were at Starbucks? We were at Target. We were going to the Starbucks in Target. And I think you were with me. I was like, you're seemingly not remembering, but I think you are.
You said Target, and I think that now I'm with you.
And there was this person who was like in front of us. They had a cart. They were on the phone, but clearly like their intent, I know, is to order Starbucks.
But like they're backed up a little bit.
They're backed up a little bit. Someone else is still ordering. But I'm assuming when the person moves and it's now their turn, supposedly, to go up and order, that like they're intending to go up and order. And I'm trying to remember like what all the order of operations was for this. Because they were on the phone. I think I just ended up being like, are you planning on going up to order? And then they said yes. And then like they're going up and they're still on the phone. But then like they're ordering their Starbucks. I just thought it was weird. I felt like, hang out in like a back corner thing of like the Starbucks section. Say, hey, I'll call you back. I'm going to go order Starbucks. Hang up the phone. And then go interact with people. Finish that. And then, because I mean, who knows? It wouldn't have been crazy if I would have assumed you're busy talking on the phone right now. I'm going to, quote unquote, cut in front of you and order my Starbucks. Because, like, they were, again, standing back a little bit, too. So I was, like, not really sure how in the line they were. But I just decided to ask anyways, and they were in line.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I would expect them, like, if they're on the phone, but, like, then it's clearly their turn to be, like, hold on 1 second, and, like, put the phone down. A little bit more. Like, you don't have to hang up.
But I just remember at the time being like, you're just not really doing, like, what I would consider to be good social etiquette.
What about, like, so this time out in a checkout scenario, they said, like, being on your phone in general. Do you think they're only talking about talking on the phone? Because to me, if you're, like, texting or on your phone.
They said interacting with your phone.
Like, to me, that's fine if you're, like, on your phone.
Here's the thing. Nothing you're doing on your phone should be getting in the way or slowing down the process of what it is that you're doing in the real world.
I think that's fair.
So you should not be 1 second behind for like putting your card in, paying, or, getting your bags into your cart, whatever it may be. None of that should be impeded by your phone usage. You're probably going to be better off just not being on your phone. But if you can do all of that flawlessly, and I have no, additional notes, then whatever.
Yeah. I do feel like just generally, like, it is rude if you are talking on the phone and, like, the cashier is, like, supposed to, like, talk to you to, like, not even, like, the stupid things of, like, how was your day? Did you find everything okay? But just, like, did you want this bagged? Like, do you want this out? Like, they just generally, like, have to ask you things during the checkout process that, like, I feel like it's rude to not be, like, engaged with them and prepared to answer those questions should they arise.
So. You never know what's going to happen at the checkout line.
You never do. So that would be my take, is, like, phone users generally okay. Avoid talking on the phone. Okay. Speaking of phones, kind of. Phone cases that double as wallets are stupid. If someone steals your phone, they now also have a few or many of your credit and debit cards. I never understand why people put more of these valuable eggs, the cards, into the same basket as their phone.
I do. Convenience.
Yeah. Especially, like, I mean, both men and women do it, but I feel like guys, like, way more often than girls have wallet.
For me personally,
phone cases.
I have never had my phone stolen. Okay, so I have 25 years of life on this earth. Not all of those years were with the phone, but still. I have not experienced my phone being stolen, and so that is where I'm coming from. The lens I'm seeing this out. Until I have a phone stolen, I'm sure I'm not going to change my ways. But my thought is, I feel much more comfortable, and I'm not even someone who secures my cards on my phone. But if the option is to have my phone or my cards in my phone or my cards just like in a pocket free for all, I would probably prefer to have them in a secure pocket on my phone, where I feel like they'd be less likely to just fly out at random and I might lose them, compared to like a pocket per se. I tend to just keep my cards in like a belt bag situation. So that's usually what I do. But I understand, like, sometimes you're going places that have bag policies where you're not allowed to bring a bag. And, I don't have a phone where I have a case. So then I do inevitably just end up with the cards loose in my pocket. I don't love that, but it's one of those things you got to do what you got to do. So
most of the comments agree with us. Someone said, if someone is mugging me, they're going to take my hypothetical wallet as well. Someone said, I'm 39 years old. No one has ever stolen my phone. Also, I can order a new ID and credit card in about 10 minutes online.
Very true.
So, I don't live my life inconveniently to protect against rare threats. Having my wallet and phone connected makes my life easier every single day. So,
okay. This unpopular opinion: sleeping on the floor is better than in bed or in a bed. For the past 7-ish years, I have been sleeping on the floor, and it is more comfortable than sleeping on an actual bed. The only downsides are that sometimes it gets cold, but you can just add more blankets, and that when you bring people back to your place, I think it's kind of weird without a bed.
Like, they're saying, like, no bed?
I think they're saying no bed, just blankets on the floor.
Interesting. I was going to say, I see where they're coming from. Like, sometimes the vibe of, like, a sleepover on the floor vibe is kind of fun, but just no bed and, like, the bed is your floor. That's an interesting take.
In Japan, though, they have just, like, floor mats. Kind of the same idea.
Maybe.
I mean, I disagree with, like, the floor being more comfortable than a bed, but I respect the floor. I can be comfortable on a floor. I literally told Ciera, like, there was a time within the past 2 or 3 weeks where I had gotten home from the gym, and I was not, like, I was on my phone just scrolling, and I wasn't going to get into bed because I just worked out. So I was in my gym clothes, but I wasn't quite ready to shower yet because I was on my phone. As I said, I was just doing some phone screen time, and I got tired, and I literally, like, fell asleep and took, like, a 15-minute nap just on my floor.
Yeah.
And I was plenty comfortable. So it was a carpeted floor. I mean, I can't imagine this being a wooden floor that we're talking about.
I feel like the right person can, like, find any surface comfortable. You know what I mean?
You know what this made me think of too? Just like how when you're taking a nap, like, you can get so much more comfortable when you're getting ready to take a nap than just like when you're trying to go to sleep for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the couch.
Because when you're napping, like, then sleep is calling to you.
It's
like
just
when
going
you're going
so
to
much
bed,
easier.
you're like, time to go to sleep, I guess.
You must call to sleep.
Yeah. That was funny. Thank you. Okay. I mean, I would say bed is always more comfortable for me personally,
but I'm not a floor hater.
Right. I can make a floor work. Music/songs should be longer. I don't know if it's unpopular or not, but I don't even know another sub to talk about that. I just feel like the quote unquote standard format for music nowadays is around 3 to 4 minutes, which really isn't that long. Like, I don't have time to enjoy, or as soon as I do, it's already over. If it were up to me, every song should be 7 minutes long at least, kind of like the techno genre, where pretty much every song is about 6 to 10 minutes long.
I'm going to say I disagree with this take.
I also disagree.
My thought is, here's the thing. We got a lot of songs going into the 2-minute range now, where I am kind of like,
That's a little short.
Barely happened. This song was over and done, and I barely even know what I just listened to. But then I feel like, unless we have a designated, like, also about 10-minute version, and you're throwing out just verse after verse like Miss Taylor Swift, where it requires the full 10 minutes, I tend to feel like at the 5-minute mark of a song, I'm kind of like, the song is still playing. The song is still on. Why is the song still playing? That's just where I've noticed that. And so usually at that point, I'm ready for the next song. Mm-hmm. Let's move on.
I agree. I think 3 to 4 minutes is the ideal.
And I think that's why they are that length. Okay, my next unpopular opinion. If you're having a destination wedding, you should cover the cost of accommodation for your guests. If you're asking people to use annual leave and fly somewhere, it's polite to cover the expense of accommodation. Yes, I know people can choose not to come, but sometimes when it's close family, there is an obligation to attend. What do you think?
I think that's crazy to pay for a wedding that is a destination wedding and then be like, well, you have to pay for me to get there now.
Well, accommodation only.
I just think like
I think it'd be a nice perk.
Like, you were invited.
Yeah.
If you want to come,
and I feel like they kind of have like a little caveat of like, you know, if you're close family, you do feel obligated. You don't have to go though. It is at the end of the day still an invitation that you can turn down. I've never had a reason to look into wedding costs of anything like international versus even, I guess, like people do destination weddings still like within the same country they live in. But I feel like if anything, like it would just have to be a perk that like the bride and groom themselves decided like we're going to do this. And it could be, obviously that would be a benefit to get maybe more people to go. I'm sure more people would go if they don't have to pay for where they're staying, but it comes at a cost, which the bride and groom likely don't want. So
yeah, I would say not going to happen.
I don't imagine myself doing a destination wedding because like I would feel bad asking people to do that, but like the idea of like just getting all my close friends and family at like a countryside villa in Italy or something for a week where we're all just like running around sounds amazing. Beautiful, amazing, lovely.
It does. Next one I have is not all old features in houses look good or should be kept just because they're old. I love old features in houses, but some of them are just ugly. There seems to be a lot of militant folk online angry about people renovating houses that look dirty because they say it adds character or original charm. A 70s kitchen which has mucky red carpeted floors and yellowing white tiles objectively is not good looking or full of character at all. It's ugly and moldy. Even if you like that style, renovating or repairing something should never come at the cost of functionality. Then I'll cut it short there.
I always feel like my thought on like updating and renovating historical houses, well, not historical, but like historical charming type houses, is you're not going to want like the outside to be completely different from the inside of the house. Therefore, I agree that there's probably a lot of things like aesthetically that you're like, this isn't quite working, but there are still certain what am I saying? There are still certain finishes and styles.
Charm? I don't know what you're saying.
Maybe. That you could select over other choices. Like, you're not going to want to go with like a cold millennial gray finish or probably like a white modern kitchen. You're probably going to want to try and do something where like it's warmer. It has more charm. You're maybe picking things that like aren't cookie cutter because you're trying to still hone in on like the individuality of the home. And that would be the route that I would go down with that.
I'm kind of with you. Like, here's where I land. Obviously, at the end of the day, if you bought a house and you own it, you're free to do whatever you want with it. I would just say, like, why did you buy this, like, X house with certain features and character and whatever if you're going to change literally everything about it? Like, did you even like the house?
Yeah.
Like, I guess hopefully you buy a house that is like there are certain features about it or certain aspects that you see within your style, then you can then update to like fit your style, be functional, but still keep some of the characteristics of the past. Because it doesn't make any sense to like buy an old house and like completely update it to look like it was built in like 2020.
Right.
And you're like, the outside of this house is from 1970. Doesn't make no sense.
Did you have anything else you wanted to say this?
Not really.
My next one is pizza crust is the best part. I kind of agree with this.
It depends on the pizza for me.
I was going to say there's caveats. Because here's the thing. If I'm having like a thin and crispy from Pizza Hut, which I do love a Pizza Hut thin and crispy, the crust isn't my favorite part for that. But as someone who loves bread a lot, there are times where honestly, I'm just working my way past the pizza part.
The pizza's the barrier to
the
get to the
pizza
crust.
is like the journey to get to the destination, which is the crust. And that is sometimes how I feel about some pizzas. It's more so like if I'm kind of disappointed with the pizza itself, but like the pizza's got a good crust, I'm not going to just not eat the pizza. But I am kind of like, I don't really want the rest of it. I love a good pizza crust, which is really just like, if it's just like a good bready, thick crust, it's probably good. Like you can mess up a pizza and the ingredients and the type of sauce, but you can't really mess up the bread. So that's always going to be a good part of it.
Mm-hmm. Like there's a sliding scale for like the pizza itself of like good and bad. The crust is always going to be like,
there's not a very big sliding scale,
for that. Okay to good to excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Who knows? Like there's really no bounds.
The NFL draft should be reversed with the best performing teams picking first.
I saw this and I saw that you had picked it, and I was kind of, thinking through how that would work, because their premise was that the, best and top performing college players kind of are sometimes led to have like an unfortunate career because they're not really set up for success. And while I can see where it's coming from, I also was like, now how would this work because every year you've got like, oh, this is the best QB coming into the league now.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have the best team every year. Like the top teams, no matter how good their starting QB is or top whatever, if this person's like the next and best, whatever, they're probably going to want the chance to like snag them up anyways. Or maybe they're going to have like 5-star QBs for all 3 of their QBs. And the third string is still like a 5-star number 1 recruit out of college. And I just don't feel like that would work well for like even the top NFL teams. So I feel like how it is now allows for the most opportunity to even things out. And of course you always have like people can become NFL free agents. So like if the talent is there for a college player, they will find a spot somewhere.
Yeah. I disagree with this take. I feel like I used to like kind of be on their side before I like looked, too much into it. Like, why are the best teams being punished? But then it would just make for a very boring watching experience as a viewer to be like, so-and-so's the top. They're going to stay at the top because they get the best new recruits. If there wasn't this like evening out system that starts at the beginning of each season, then like, it'd be boring. You think of like the Commanders who got Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
He was
he
their
made
pick
it to
this
their
year. The Commanders
playoffs.
got to the, they're like the last 4 teams or whatever. Like it shows that you can build a team around good players. With like, it's also like management, coaching, whatever. But I think it just makes it more interesting of a league that it can kind of ebb and flow.
One moment. Okay. Unpopular opinion. Being an introvert is not about having social phobia. I thought it was common sense, but I see most people thinking being an introvert is being asocial and scared of contact with others. Well, no. Being scared of making a phone call does not make you an introvert. You just have social anxiety. Of course, you can be an introvert too, but those are 2 different things.
I saw this one. I think that they do get conflated to mean the same thing. I do think people who have like social phobias probably are all introverts, but not all introverts have social phobias.
I could agree with that statement.
So That's where I think that people say, like, for introverts, they're like, oh, are you shy? And, like, not all introverts are shy. If you are shy, you're probably an introvert. But they do get conflated. I think introvert is a larger category than people
I honestly
make it
feel
out
like,
to be.
because I would say when I was younger, I would say I was shy, probably. I would say now, I wouldn't.
I'm not talkative.
I wouldn't talk. Well, I'm saying I wouldn't describe myself as being shy, but I feel like shy does kind of inherently imply kind of a sense of social phobia,
Yeah.
a little bit, because you're kind of scared of just talking to other people. And I, like you said, I don't have a social phobia that I really feel like impedes me from talking to someone else. I just feel like I sometimes don't have anything to say.
And that's okay.
Or at least not to, this person.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I think they get conflated more often than not. Old Navy is hands down the best clothing store. They're cheap, reliable, and they always have the basics. In fact, you could argue they excel at the basics while still occasionally offering something flashy. The lighting there is perfectly inoffensive and shows the clothing perfectly. The quality is decent.
Oh, they're even talking about the store experience.
Have sales on already cheaper than average prices. I mean, I gotta say, guys, I don't shop at Old Navy much, but I've been, like, within the past year.
We've been checking it out more.
And now I'm like, well, what else do they have? We were there last week. We saw
graphic
some t-shirts
tees
coming out, and I was like,
They have, I'm starting to realize, as someone who hasn't shopped there much, or at least it's been a very, very long time, but has been going more frequently recently, they've got some good graphic designers.
They do.
Like for their sweatshirts, for the graphic tees, I looked at the men's section too, and I really do feel like the graphic design stuff is like, I really like Abercrombie, for example, like any of their graphic design stuff or t-shirts or sweatshirts. I really think they're good at that as well. And when I was at Old Navy, I was kind of like, you guys are kind of like on the same level design wise.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pleased. I'll keep going there and scoping things out.
We'll continue to go back.
How many more do you want to try and fit in?
Maybe one or two.
Okay.
So find your best.
Find a job you'll love doing and it won't feel like a job isn't exactly true. People say they work at or that if you work at something you love, then it won't feel like work. That is not true. I shoot weddings. I love weddings and romance and photography. And while I do enjoy parts of it for short durations, I can tell you it is a job. It's work. I can enjoy it for 2 to 3 hours, but after 8 hours, I'm tired and it is work. They just keep saying the same thing over and over. I feel like the nature of anything when it becomes a job is that it is a job. No matter how much you love it. And this is honestly why...
I mean, there's a reason you're getting paid. It's because, like, it is work.
And there are things you have to do that are not inherently fun to keep things running smoothly or afloat or make a profit. I feel like as someone who hasn't worked in sports, but I know Maggie who has worked in sports, and just like what I see of people who work in sports is the reason they have such a high turnover rate is because people are so eager to get in the door and do have the job where they're saying like, I work for the NFL, or I work in this league, whatever it is. But there are so many people excited to do that. And because they know they can take advantage of you being so eager and willing to do the work, they don't have to pay you a lot. And just because you're good at your job, they're probably not going to pay you anymore because they can find the next best person to do the same job at the same thing they're paying you.
And it's a lot of work, and according to Maggie, it's also a lot of time.
And so at a certain point, you kind of realize, yes, I love what I'm doing. I love this as my job, but like,
you can only do so much of it without getting compensated.
Yeah.
What you think you should be compensated.
So
this one is kind of an at us, I feel.
Go ahead.
Actually, you might have taken this one because I thought I pulled it up and maybe I didn't. So if you do have
Was this about the playback speed?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't going to get to that one, but I did pull it up.
People who watch YouTube and Netflix at 2 times speed are maniacs. I understand it for educational videos, learning, and DIY stuff, fine. My university lecturer talked slow too. But for leisure, it just baffles me how people can watch TV shows, movies, and other stuff at 2 times speed just so they can consume it all. I guess it's a completionist time-saving thing, but why are you trying to complete the entertainment as fast as possible? Doesn't that defeat the purpose of entertainment?
Here's the completionist time-saving thing, honestly, from my perspective. And now I'll let you talk first.
I watch YouTube videos and I listen to podcasts. And if I were to listen to an audiobook, 2 times speed or so. I do not watch movies or Netflix or TV shows on 2 times speed. Those, I feel like, do need to be consumed at
Regular
their intended pace. But other stuff.
My thought is now I'm too inundated with this 2 times speed watching that I think my baseline for how slowly someone can talk before I'm kind of like, just speed it up, please. Say what you're saying faster, has made it so it's almost hard to watch or listen to things at a normal speed. And it's not so much like I don't need to watch a YouTube video twice as fast if I don't have anything I'm doing. Like the time saving component's not there for me. It is kind of like now my baseline is that I expect people to be talking faster and saying more in a quicker time frame. And I feel like I do naturally talk a little bit faster. So that kind of checks with that. But I'll just notice like it bothers me when I'm not hearing something faster. I will just prefer to have it at the 2 times speed. And sometimes I swear I have it just at normal speed and I go to change it and it's at the 2 times speed already. And I'm like, geez, okay.
I will say, like, one funny example of this.
I even watch most TikToks at 2 times speed. Like I will hold my phone or my finger on the screen and I just prefer it that way.
When my boyfriend and I were going up to Clear Lake for the weekend, he was like, oh, let's listen to a podcast. And like, he doesn't listen to things on 2 times speed. And so like, I was like, this honestly just like makes me uncomfortable. Like, I feel like it's like, I don't know what it is like about, I was like, it's not going fast enough. Like, I don't want to listen to this, basically. And so like, we need to go back to music or something because like, it's just too slow.
Was it like a crime one or like a...
We did, I think we did one crime one and then like a Today Explained or something. And like, it's just, you know, information.
Yeah.
Like true crime, whatever, entertainment. But I was like, they're not speaking fast enough. Like, I would rather just not listen to this. So, I don't know.
Maybe that's brain rot. I don't know. But
Probably.
I just need more input coming in at a quicker rate.
So, those are all the unpopular opinions we have to share today. If you guys agree or disagree with any of the unpopular opinions, you can go to our Instagram, and I'm sure we have an episode post up. You can share your thoughts. Or if you're watching the YouTube video, comment down below.
Don't forget to, again, check out the subscription link if you're interested in doing that. We'll have the book club going for this month of February. Yet to decide on the book, but I had some ideas. If you have any questions, DM us.
And with that, we will talk to you guys next Thursday. Bye.
Bye.